Despite the hero having the most screen time, the villain is usually what makes a story memorable. With villains holding such an important part of the story, they become a nexus point. And by that, I mean the well-written villain can hold the weakest story together, whereas a poorly made villain will stain and ruin any creative work it touches. The problem I often see isn't bad writing. More often than not, it's simply choosing the wrong villain type for your story. And with that, I'll be posting some of my favorite villains as well as sorting them into general archetypes: True Evil, Practical Evil, Viewpoint Evil, Revenge Evil, and Human Evil. Starting with True Evil, here we have Bull Cipher, the Witch King of Angmar, Jack Horner, the Lich, and Sauron. Now, instead of giving descriptions for this archetype, what I find much more useful is examples of how they would act. So, I've created some hypothetical situations for our True Evil villains. Imagine your villain is walking down the street, and along this magic street they will encounter a puppy, an innocent person, two people dueling, and finally a hero and a villain. First, the puppy.
Shoot a puppy, are you, Jack?
Yeah, in the face. Why?
A kind person will clearly step out of the way for a helpless animal. A True Evil villain will not only step on said puppy, but they will go out of their way to step on that puppy. If the dog is across the street, they are running across the traffic to go and step on it. Next, the innocent bystander, pretty much the same thing as the puppy. No matter what, this random person's day is getting ruined. Just how overpowered heroes can be predictable and boring, True Evil villains, their actions are always quite simple. But that simplicity is what makes for a great story of good versus evil. True villains don't need a backstory, they don't need a redemption arc, you never feel sorry for them, they simply serve as a final obstacle for the hero to overcome. With very little writing, you can create a true evil villain. This allows for the story to focus on the heroes and their journey. But, back to our hypothetical street. Third partying a duel. A true evil villain will definitely pick a side, whichever side benefits them more. However, once that conflict is over, they will ultimately betray and discard their ally. With true evil villains, there's no outcome where they share the throne. Exactly the same as if they encounter another villain. They may work together, but it will always be temporary. True villains don't share power. As for them encountering a hero with lofty goals, to them a hero is a simple obstacle. They're not going to be fussy with how it's done. As long as the hero is defeated, a true villain is pleased. To sum up true evil villains, they are akin to natural disasters. They cannot be reasoned with, they cannot be redeemed. True evil villains work best for light-hearted stories, good versus evil, or the end of the world kind of situation. The problems with true evil villains is they lack relatability, because in reality nothing is purely good or evil, it's all a bunch of grey, but these villains are very black and white. Another problem is you need to make sure they are a valid and dangerous threat, or else your big bad villain becomes nothing more than a stupid muscle-headed goon. Don't try to humanize these villains. Oh no, I destroyed the world because I had a bad childhood or a sad childhood. No, as soon as you force sympathy to this category of villains, your writing becomes a joke. Disney cannot get enough of this. They can't help but reveal their evil twist villain is actually a good guy. Yet none of their prior actions suggest it. Look, the guy's bad. Just let them be bad. It's a story. My advice for these types of stories is just keep it simple. It's a story. You need a big bad villain and they are it. Writing is like cooking. Yes, it can be complex and extravagant, but it can also be really simple and so good. Just because ice cream is a quick and easy dessert doesn't make it any less tasty. Next up are our practical villains. Just like pure evil villains, practical villains are still horrible and twisted individuals. But instead of being guided by hate, they let logic and reason guide their actions. Picture this, a true villain will just blow up a house because that's what they do. Whereas a practical villain will think, when will the most people be in that building? Does the house have a gas line? How does destroying this building benefit me? In this category I have Anton Chigurh, Darth Sidious, the White Witch, Hans Landa, and Ultron. Now back to the hypothetical street. Anton is a psychopath, but he's not going to waste time killing a puppy. But yes, he would definitely run over the puppy if it got in his way. It's going to be the same for the innocent bystander. In their minds, the innocent are nothing but tools. It's a simple difference. Sauron wants to kill and enslave every race in Middle-earth, whereas Anton Chigurh enjoys killing people. However, he does it as a job. He's not wandering the streets killing every single person he sees. Another way to put it is if you pass a true evil villain on the street, they will definitely harm you. Whereas if you pass a practical villain, they're only inclined to harm you if it benefits them. As an example, Bull Cipher kills without reason and at random. I wouldn't take the chance of walking past Bull. Yet, if I kept my head down and I submitted, I think I could survive an interaction with the White Witch. Adding a touch of logic and restraint is what makes your villain a practical villain. Practical villains are also more open to conversation. Now, that doesn't mean you can redeem them. It simply means that they have a goal and they are willing to use words to achieve it. Practical villains are usually very hypocritical. Through ego and intelligence, they believe they can convince you to join them, but they'll never use that same logic to see your point of view. Take Darth Sidious. You bet he's going to try and convince a Jedi to join him, but the thought of Darth Sidious becoming a Jedi himself is never an option, it's not even on the table. Practical villains are powerful, but their intellect is their most feared weapon. These are your schemers and planners. As for weaknesses, I have to say plot armor. When you've cultivated this clever villain archetype, and somehow through sheer dumb luck your hero is able to outwit them time and time again, it doesn't really make sense. A practical villain isn't going to toy with a hero or monologue while they escape. They are precise and quick, and if your hero makes a mistake, they are going to take immediate action to end that hero's life, right there and then. Don't pair a practical villain with an incompetent hero, or else every time your hero wins a fight it's just going to seem like pure plot armor. I'll use Marvel as a bad example. Think how boring it would be if Captain America would face Ultron alone. Ultron would just use magnetism to grab Cap's shield and then shoot him. But no, they'll find a way to bring Ultron to such a low point where a random dude wearing the American flag can beat robots made out of metal through punching. Yeah, good stuff. On the other hand, Country for Old Men is a great example of a practical villain done right. Llewellyn Moss is quickly shown as being smarter than your average man. Every scene he's making practical decisions, and even then he barely survives an encounter with Anton. Having an intelligent hero makes our villain Anton seem so much more dangerous. It makes the viewers question if they would be able to survive if Anton was chasing them. So, at the end of all this, a good practical villain can only be achieved when paired with a competent hero. Do that and you'll be fine. Next, we have Viewpoint Evil. From their perspective, they're doing what is right. In this list, I have General Zod, Grimmel the Grizzly, Didact, and Magneto. Zod and the Didact are committing genocide, but they are doing it to save their own species. From a dragon's perspective, Grimmel is a monster, but from a villager terrified of dragons, Grimmel is a savior. Magneto is a threat to humanity and government control, but he is also a protector and a beacon of light to his fellow mutants. To make a viewpoint villain, someone has to benefit from their evil actions. The motives behind the villain must also be in some form righteous. It's fine if it's misguided or cruel, but it's some part of their mind they need to believe what they are doing is right. It doesn't have to be right, but they need to believe that it is. The only way I can think of explaining it better is with Dracula from Castlevania. Yes, he's killing all humans, and that will make the world safer for vampires, but Dracula is not doing it for that reason. His motives are purely revenge, so he doesn't belong in this category. That being said, he does belong in the next category. Revenge Evil. Pretty self-explanatory name. Here we have Reverse Flash, Dracula, Lord Shen, Darth Vader, Davy Jones, Rumpelstiltskin, and Tyler. Heavy-hitting villains, and by far my favorite category. Now, revenge is such a simple and pure motif. It's really the full package for a villain. We pity them because obviously they've been wronged and betrayed, but their reaction to this trauma is often extreme and overly wrathful. Remember, revenge is not justice. No matter how wrongly they were treated, revenge will always be a villain's trait. These aren't misguided anti-heroes, they are still fully fledged evil villains. But all these examples are slightly different. I would further sort them into a spectrum, with despair and sadness on one side, and on the other end, chaotic and crazy. This spectrum really only dictates if we sympathize for the villain or not. Whether they're sad or crazy doesn't really change how evil they are. Davy Jones is on the sad side. When you lead more towards despair, your villain becomes more like an injured animal. They're dangerous because they lash out based on fear and emotion. Whereas on the chaotic side, I'd put Reverse Flash. He's so utterly fueled by revenge it's almost comical. No matter how small, no matter how difficult, if it has a chance to ruin Barry Allen's life, you better believe Reverse Flash will do it. Even that name, Reverse Flash, literally just means anti-hero. Dracula and Vader are more towards the despair side, whereas Lord Shen and Rumpelstiltskin are more to the chaotic crazy side. Tai Lung is a classic villain, so I'd put him smack in the middle. For the most part, he kind of experienced just as much pain as he unleashed on others. So far on this villain list, revenge villains are by far the most redeemable. But although redemption in theory seems like a satisfying way to end a villain, it's often done pretty badly. The most common trope is they'll sacrifice their own life to save someone else. Heroic? Nah, more like just plain lazy. Death isn't the right way to atone or amend past sins. Hard work and time spent undoing and fixing the atrocities you've committed is the right path to redemption. In stories, but not just for the villain but for all characters, in general people think or they see death as the ultimate sacrifice, but honestly it's easy to die for someone. It's much more heroic to live for someone. But let me move on to the next group. And lastly, we have human evil. Commodus, Dolores Umbridge, Titan, and Wormtongue. Now, honestly, I hate this type of character. In movies, I respect how talented of an actor you must be to play such a hated and despised character. When a book has a villain like this, I just try to read through their parts as quickly as possible. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for my explanation. Human evil villains, these villains, they aren't world-ending savages, they're just deeply flawed individuals. They basically just rolled a -10 on the charisma stat. They are selfish, immature, cruel, egotistical, and so on. Now, these villains don't have a backstory or a reason why the way they act. They simply lacked all morals and redeeming qualities. If yuck and disgust is the feeling you want from your villain, look no further, this category is for you. And yeah, that's how I would sort villains. Just like art, with writing you need tons of reference, and with villains there seems to be an endless amount of great references out there. I could easily add 50 more villains to this list, but if I had to remake this video for heroes, honestly I think I'd struggle to get 10 good hero references. I don't know if I'm just a bit judgmental and pessimistic, or would you guys agree that people just write better villains? I've already failed my goal of trying to post a video twice a month. It's not really a strict guideline, just something that I want to try and stick to. But you know, this month it was looking good. I didn't have too much work to do. But then for like the first time in 5 years, I got sick. It's just like when you have some spare money and then your car suddenly decides to break. Except this time, as soon as you have some free time, I got sick. Then right after catching a cold, I got tonsillitis. All in all, these aren't too bad of sicknesses, but both kind of prevent me from speaking. Even now, my voice feels still a bit rough. So basically, I just spent a week drinking tea and rebuilding an old piano. Yeah, it was really interesting stuff. I've tuned pianos before, but this was my first time balancing and lining up keys. And Knight no longer make pianos, so I can't buy any spare parts, and instead, any broken parts I have to rebuild myself. But for the most part, pianos are pretty simple. They're just really, really repetitive because everything you have to do 88 times. You need to sand a key, you're going to have to sand 88 keys, or you need to polish a pin, you're going to have to polish 88 pins. But yeah, it's not too physical, so it's pretty boring, so it's a great job to do when you're sick and you can only muster the bare minimum. But this isn't a music channel, so I'll end it there. Hopefully you found some of my writing advice worthwhile. Good luck with creating your villains, and thanks for watching.